Hi, I'm Ned Fulmer. 3 years ago, I cheated on my wife with my producer. It became a massive public scandal that caused a lot of pain to a lot of people.
Ned Fulmer is no longer working with the Try Guys.
I just felt like I understood what it would be like to die in that moment.
If Ned Fulmer dies in the next year, just based off of the body language, I think there is a 79% chance Eugene did it. Holy shit.
This cheating doesn't involve butt plugs or anal beads at all. This one involves a man who was unfaithful to his wife. I'm talking about the Try Guys, Ned Fulmer.
Which is more important, being a loving husband or a loving father?
I think a loving husband.
On Labor Day weekend, multiple fans alerted us that they had seen Ned and an employee engaging in public romantic behavior.
Ned Fulmer is a troglodyte asshat who betrayed his wife, his friends, and millions of fans.
Ned was physically being edited out of their videos.
Ned. So on Friday, September 16th, the three of us signed written consent of the members of Second Try LLC approving the removal of Ned as a manager and an employee.
Hi, I'm WattX. 3 years ago, I cheated in Minecraft with X-Ray. Welcome everybody, and sit on down because the internet's favorite wife guy has come back with what is arguably the worst podcast in both name and quality. I'm not kidding when I say that this podcast genuinely made me feel horrible after watching it, and I'm not talking about Ned's impression of RFK Jr. in the beginning of this, but how the whole podcast in general played out. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, a little explainer. And who better to explain this train wreck than the conductor himself? The description of the podcast says, about rock bottom, everyone makes mistakes. Some of us, really big ones. But what comes next? Rock Bottom is a show that explores people's lowest, most embarrassing, and challenging moments, featuring raw, unfiltered conversations with comedians, creators, authors, and celebrities. We talk about how they not only survived it all, but transformed their lives. Hosted by Ned Fulmer, the ex-BuzzFeed Try Guys co-creator whose own Rock Bottom ranked number 6 of Time's most viral moments of 2022. 3 years ago, by the way. The show blends curiosity and empathy to tell stories of experience, strength, and hope. Because sometimes the only way through is one podcast at a time.
Hi, I'm Ned Fulmer. 3 years ago, I cheated on my wife with my producer.
I think it's a bit counterproductive to come back after 3 years, after being disgraced from the internet for getting caught in the back of your Tesla with one of your producers, and instantly rehash why everybody was upset at you in the first place. Genuinely, in today's society, cheating is so prevalent that it's not really even that big of a scandal. I mean, just think about how prevalent cheating is. You probably know somebody who's been cheated on or been cheated on yourself. Now imagine that you were just cheated on, and 3 years later, your partner or ex-partner comes to you and asks you to come explain your side of it on their podcast. 3 years after they did this to you. It's like if somebody stole your car and asked to interview you for their podcast to talk about how losing your car made you miss your grandpa's funeral, lose your job, and subsequently go homeless.
And you, as a viewer, I know that I broke your trust. I betrayed my spouse, co-workers, friends, family, and I betrayed you.
I get that this part is him trying to take accountability for what he did, but Ned, it's been 3 years, man. You don't need to sit down and apologize to any of us about cheating on your wife. You guys can just work on that in private, and then you, Ned, can come back to YouTube and start, I don't know, trying out expensive gas station food.
Back in a podcasting room.
Yeah.
I mean, we've certainly had a lot of conversations where we've sat like this.
Yeah, that's true.
But not conversations that are meant for the public.
Right off the bat, I want to apologize about the audio in this video. Not my audio, not this time, guys. Don't worry. It sounds like a microwave is cooking something in the background for the entirety of this podcast. I'm not sure what type of stylistic choice it was to have a low buzzing hum throughout the whole thing, but I can't hold it against Ned. He's a little rusty with all this, so I'll give him some slack on this one.
Is it strange to think that people are watching this and listening to it rather than just being in like a therapy setting?
Oh, heck yeah. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm on the verge of like standing up and walking out of this room.
I would be on the verge of walking out too if I had to sit across from Ned and stare at him because he doesn't want to find a real job and stay off the internet. I have no idea why she's doing this for him after he blew up their marriage, but I'll stop here about Ariel because Ariel did nothing wrong, okay? She's the victim in this situation, not Ned, okay? The target of this video is Ned and Ned alone. Not only for putting his wife through yet another traumatic internet experience, but for putting all of us through it as well.
Yeah, we've kind of been just keeping our lives very private for the last 3 years.
We have.
And just almost hiding from the world.
We've been hiding. We've been hiding from the world. And I'm not going to lie, it's been kind of great.
Ned, look, she doesn't even want to get back out there on the internet. Why would you encourage this idea to her? She starts this podcast with you, and within the first 5 minutes, she says she wants to leave and that being off the internet has been great. After hearing something like that, how would you not just, take a step back in your head and reevaluate and maybe think, this might not be the best idea for us to do right now. I mean, I'd take it as a pretty bad omen if any other guest on any other podcast within the first 5 minutes of it said they wanted to leave and that they hate being on the internet.
And to the extent that we're kind of moving forward in our lives, that's something that you've talked about. It's like, how can I move forward in my life without people knowing the next part of my story if they're still stuck on the 2022 part of my story?
By getting a normal job, Ned. Go work at Home Depot and get your forklift certification because you were the wife guy and you did the single thing that would make everybody not like the wife guy. You cheated on your wife. It's like if Meat Canyon got exposed for paying some dude on Fiverr to animate all of his videos for him. Do you really think that would fly?
It's a really strange thing, actually. Like, that we can't do anything publicly without kind of addressing this first.
What do you mean by this, Ned? Do you mean that you can't go out in public without anybody coming up to you and confronting you about cheating on your wife? Because I know you were really famous at one point, but there's no way there's still people 3 years later running up to you and acting like you're the worst person in the world because you cheated on your wife. Unless you mean that you can't do anything publicly on the internet without addressing it, which is true, but why are you saying we then? Unless I'm suffering from short-term memory loss, I thought I remembered that you cheated on your wife, and you got kicked out of the Try Guys, and she was the victim in all this. So, like, other than, like, having the awkward conversation of, yeah, my husband did that to me, there's no reason why she would need to clear any air. This whole podcast confuses me because I just don't know who it's for. Obviously, you guys can probably tell because you clicked on a video that makes fun of this whole situation, but the reaction to the podcast was not what Ned was hoping for. And it just seems like the entire idea for the podcast was not something that his wife came up with, so that just leaves one explanation for all this. Ned really wants to come back to the internet. Is it too parasocial to imagine Ned texting Ariel over and over again week after week, getting a temp check on if she's ready to come back to the internet or not so he could finally get a paycheck again? Because I genuinely don't know how else he could have convinced her of this.
I remember I have met some people, like, made new friends or kind of introduced myself to strangers. It's like, oh, let's exchange Instagrams. I'm like, well,
right?
Here's mine, but couple of caveats. One, I have a lot more followers than you might expect. Two, all of this is pretty outdated. And three, don't Google me.
Don't Google me.
Don't Google me.
You
Just
probably don't want to Google me.
Get to know me first.
Listen, on a real note, I understand what he's saying here. Meeting new friends is not going to be easy when the first thing they see about you when they follow your social media is thousands of comments about how you ruined the audience's favorite YouTube show and you ruined your marriage with your wife. Just imagine trying to make friends now, 3 years later, when you rehash all of this and get the topic back on you cheating on your wife.
Like there's ways in which we're together, but it's like the way that everyone wants to know, like, are you guys still like an item? Are you guys still a couple? Like, no. We really haven't been at all this last 3 years.
No, we haven't.
There's moments when we kind of tried, but just because you go to a Taylor Swift concert together doesn't mean that you're,
Doesn't
that
mean
all
that
is
you're
forgiven
together.
and you're
No.
Oh boy, a Taylor Swift concert is not a good sign. You know she was sitting there the entire time relating to every single breakup and heartbreak song that was being played. And meanwhile, Ned was standing there next to her, probably looking like a doofus, fighting himself in his head about if he should try to hold her hand during Love Story.
People ask me, like, do you forgive Ned for what he did? And I mean, the answer is no. Absolutely not. How can you forgive somebody for lying to you, for cheating on you? No. Fuck no. Like, that, like, I don't even, it's, sorry, I saw red for a minute. It's like, no, the answer is no.
Listen, I don't blame Ariel one bit for feeling this way. Honestly, this sounds like it would be some form of torture to not only have your husband, the father of your children, cheat on you, but to have it be posted all over the internet and then have to watch the fallout for the next 3 years. It's not something that would be easy, that's for sure.
I mean, I found out about your affair from the fans. I mean, and I was so blindsided that somebody sent me a picture, and I like, it was like my brain couldn't compute. It's like, for some reason, I didn't see what was actually there in the picture. I thought it was your sister. And I remember sending it to you and being like, what's your sister doing in New York?
I really didn't realize how messy and awkward this was. I mean, yeesh. Just hearing the story of her finding out through the fans and then trying to rationalize all of it is just, it's heartbreaking.
And then more pictures started coming in, and more pictures and more pictures and more pictures. And it is so wild how we live in this world where everything is so public. And it makes you realize that whenever you leave your house, you're not safe.
How did having it become such a public scandal kind of change everything for you? Did it make it worse? Did it make it easier? Did it just sort of make it surreal?
There's so many different things.
Ned, do you have any listening skills? Did you just glaze over and not listen to a single thing she just said? Are you daydreaming about being somewhere else right now? Did you really just ask her if everything being public was easier for her? Literally the only way that this scandal being public was easier for her is if she hated you so much that she loved watching you get dragged through the mud on the internet. But she's not like that, and you want to know how I know? Because she just said 20 seconds ago how scary it was for the internet to be in on everything, and how scared she was to run into these people in real life.
Fell down where I totally could see how devastated and just completely traumatized you were, and then it was just like, oh, everything changed for me as well. I'm like, oh no, this is like I've been hurting this person that I love this whole time.
You didn't realize until then?
Well, you know, but then there's other things you tell yourself to kind of sort of compartmentalize, or I guess.
Interesting.
Jesus Christ, Ned, what are you even saying? You didn't know how bad it was going to be when you were doing it. Even if you actually felt like that, why would you tell her now, in front of the internet on your podcast? Why would you ever feel like it was justifiable in the moment, and why would you ever admit that you felt that way? Sorry, Your Honor. I didn't feel like it was a bad thing when I was stealing that old lady's purse in the moment, but I assure you, now that I've been caught, it was bad. I agree. Robbing old ladies is a no-go for me.
When did things start to feel a little more safe for you?
I think as I just got more comfortable talking to people about what happened, and they just seemed to not care.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it just wasn't a big deal.
It is kind of funny. It's like the whole, internet and people making TikToks seem to care so much. And then you meet anyone in real life, and it's like everyone has some way to relate to some sort of a cheating story.
And that feeling could have lasted if Ned didn't reopen this wound. This is what I was getting at earlier when I was harping on how long it had been. I know at least 3 different cheating stories that would make Ned look like a saint. Real people go through stuff like this all of the time. And even the closest of your friends will not think about how you cheated or how you got cheated on 3 years after the fact. Anyway, everyone, that's all I have for you guys for today. Let me know if you think Ned's going to keep this up, or if the backlash from this first podcast will be enough to make him lie dormant for another 3 years. Maybe his next one won't be such a rough watch. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you liked this video. Share it with your friends if you want them to know about the whole situation. Thank you for watching again. Bye.